Hello everyone, this is Laviniah, and before we begin, I would like to share a few things regarding this project. This is a podcast that's given me lots of sleepless nights because I was constantly worried about if it was time, if I was ready, if it's something I genuinely want to do, or if it's going to be a success anyways. So I'm glad I was able to, gather the courage at some point to just start eventually. I'm going to be using this opportunity to say thank you so much to everyone that is going to be watching and to everyone that is finally going to be a part of this community. Also, I would like to say a big thank you to the CEO of Dolu Properties and Company Limited for his support on the production of this particular episode. And most importantly, I would love to say a big thank you to our guests today for coming in and for trusting me enough to share a story. Let's remember, this podcast is not just about recounting experiences, it's about offering comfort and creating a sense of belonging to people or anyone that is going through the same thing or that have had similar experiences. To the Laviniah Show, where we share real life experiences that shaped our life into who we are and who we become. So let's welcome our guests. I personally call her Uzoma, not her real name though. I would like to say a big thank you for coming here today, even though you have a lot of reasons not to turn up, considering I didn't tell you until last minute and the distance alone is for you to say no, but you still had the chance to come in today. Thank you so much. Okay, so before we begin, can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Lavi, for having me. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Uzo, and I've been in Lagos all my life. I moved there when I was 8 years old. I'm a single mom.
First question would be, can you actually give us the story of how your childhood is? How many siblings do you have? Where are your parents? Stuff like that.
My childhood was quite a traumatic one. I had a really, really traumatic childhood. Growing up, I found out that I was born into a family of 7 siblings, third child, but first daughter.
Okay.
So that made me take the responsibility of my other young ones because, in the Igbo family setting, the first girl is like the second mother. So I was, left to be responsible for my younger ones. My both parents had a very traumatic marriage and, they're always fighting, always issues, always quarreling. So that kind of made us very displaced as children. My elder brothers before me were like put in different places. Then my younger ones were put in different places. I myself, I was put in a separate place. We never were together as children. We never were together as siblings. We literally grew apart in different places, with different people. And that kind of ruined us as children, And our both parents, they were very young. I would have said hardworking, but we were not seeing the hardworking. We are not seeing it. Just like they work and, fight and ruin their hard work altogether. So it was a very, very traumatic childhood, I must say.
So let me just start with your siblings. You said something about you guys never growing up in the same space, rather. Yeah. So does that mean from the childhood, like maybe from the age of 2 or 3, or you guys never knew each other?
Well, I left home for the first time when I was 5 years old. Before I left home, my immediate elder brothers already left before me. So okay. I didn't really know my immediate elder brothers. So they already left before me. Then I left when I was 5 years old to go live with a distant relative. And it was the most traumatic time of my life because, you would always be treated like the second, like an outcast. When you're not living with your family, you'd always be treated like an outcast. Back then, there was not a lot of awareness on child abuse and, taking care of children that are not yours. There is not a lot of awareness on it. So a lot of people, including relatives, abuse the fact that, my brother's sibling is staying with me, my brother's child is staying with me. They abused that a lot. So I was very much abused because I was living I was living from one relative to the other, one relative to the other. And when a child is living from one person to the other, one person to the, you are picking up a bad habit. You are living in this house, you pick up a bad habit. You go to the next house, you're picking up a bad habit, just like that. You know, it keeps spreading, and you keep getting beaten, you know, for things that are out of your control. Because most of the things that I do are really out of my control. Nobody was there to guide me. Nobody was there to, you know, show me the right path. You are just evil, you are evil. So you take the brunt of it.
Yeah, so before we get to that, let's start from the real story why we are here. Because we are still going to get into the abuse part. We are still going to get into the bad parenting part.
Yeah.
But let's start from what led you to this point.
What led me to the point of being a mom? Yeah,
her mom. All the experiences you had, you gathered while all those things were happening to you.
Like I said, I moved to Lagos when I was about 8 years old, so I started living with my uncle, that's my dad's elder brother, and his wife. They were a childless couple, so I was like their only child. I would say living with them was, you know, better off than what I was used to. Living with them was better than what I was used to, because his wife was, you know, she paid very close attention to my hygiene and my total well-being. The wife paid very close attention to that. But my uncle was like the opposite. You know, when brothers have issue and, you know, the children take the brunt of the issue. So he had an issue with my father, and I had to take the punishment for the issue he had with my father. So he would usually beat me for no reason, shout at me for no reason. Like, he made living with them kind of hard, except that the wife made it easier for me. She was always stepping by to save me. You know, when he gets angry unnecessarily, she was always there to save me from him. Because when he gets angry, he's like a beast. He will throw anything at you, he'll step on you and all that. So because I was coming from the village, right, I struggled a lot with English. I struggled a lot with my communication. I was a very naive and quiet child.
What age were you at this point?
I was 8 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't know how to interact with other children. I didn't know how to mingle with other children, because I don't know what to say to them. If I want to speak, I speak Igbo, and it's not everybody that understands what I say. So I was very, very, very secluded from other children. And I don't get to play with them, because nobody actually understands me when I'm talking. So eventually I was enrolled in a school, but I was not doing well.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not doing well in the school. So the wife is also a teacher, so she takes me on, you know, lessons until I started getting better. And then towards my early secondary school, she couldn't take me on extra lessons anymore. Okay. So she then involved somebody that she knows that is, you know, when you live in like a public street, you know people. So she knows this guy from his family. So she told the guy that, you can actually be taking her on extra lessons. I was 12 then. I was 12 and I was already in JSS2. It was like, you can be taking her for extra lessons. She can be coming around the house to take her for extra lessons if you want to. Because it's not a paid job, right? And he was like, okay, yes, why not? I'll be coming around to help her. What we didn't know was that he was actually expelled from uni due to...
The same man?
Yes. He was actually expelled from uni due to court activities. So he was not suspended, he was expelled. So he was not going to be coming back to uni.
Okay.
So when he came, he lied to everybody that he was on a break. He was on a break from school. So my auntie employed the services. She's not paying him. It was a free service. So he was always coming around whenever he's free to teach me mathematics and English. And then on the days of catechism, he's always going with us, because I was born and brought up in a Catholic church. So he would always go with us to catechism. He was also...
Okay. So you guys were like family friends?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I would like say family friends. In as much as the families are not like really close.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, you know, Aburo now, like people you grow up with in the street.
Okay.
Yeah. People you grow up with, there are people you grow up with in the street that will eventually turn to family. Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's the situation here. So that was how this closeness started. So anytime he cannot come to our place, I would have to like go to his own place. Nobody saw anything wrong with this setting. You know, my auntie didn't even see anything wrong with this setting. Once I'm back from school, all I just have to do is, you know, wash my uniform and off I go. off I go to his place for lessons. So he was taking me on lessons and would always ask me questions about virginity and
When you say he's always asking you questions about virginity, can you
yeah.
like explain what sort of questions?
Okay, so he would be like, "Oh, Zama, have you seen your? Are you still a virgin?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm still a virgin."
How old were you then?
Yeah, I was about 13.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I'll be like, "Oh, when did you last see your period?" And I'll be like, "Oh, I saw my period 2 days ago, 3 days ago."
So at this point, you thought those were normal questions.
Yes, I thought
suppose.
those were very normal questions, and
Okay.
because of the place of authority he holds over me is like, a coach, a teacher. It's just like when your teacher asks you a question in class and you're just looking
You're
at them.
expected to
Yes,
answer.
you're expected to answer. So anytime he chose a question to me, I happily answer because I felt like, oh, you're my teacher, so why not? I should answer your questions. It never felt weird in any kind of way. The questions were not coming off weird, I never felt quirky or uncomfortable with the questions. He just gives me this, it's just comfortable to answer those questions because he's your teacher. So there is no holding back. And then he went from asking me about being a virgin and, and my periods to, oh, would you like to have sex? Or have you had sex?
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
What age were you again?
Like I was 13.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, I've never had sex. I've never experienced sex. And this was me withholding information from him because before then I've actually experienced rape.
Okay.
So, but I didn't want to tell him that, somebody has raped me because the person that
As
raped
at
me
that
was
age, do you know it was rape?
No, as at that age, I didn't even know it was rape. It felt very weird. So I didn't tell him this is what happened to me before now and all that. So he assumed I was a virgin because I told him I was. He asked and I said, yes, I was a virgin. Yeah, because I thought I was actually. I thought I was still a virgin. And when he asked
Okay, so let
questions
me ask
concerning
you
my virginity,
something.
I answer.
Sorry to
Yeah.
digress. You were raped at the age of
12.
12.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But he was asking you if you were still a virgin at the age of 13.
Yeah.
But why do you think you were still a virgin at that point?
Okay, before then, I thought I was a virgin because when I was actually raped, I didn't experience any blood flow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't experience any blood flow. So years later, I was reading something on, on the blog, and I got to realize that you can actually lose your virginity, with just a snap of the finger.
Without
If you're a
your-
very sporty person, you can actually lose your virginity from just doing sports. If you're very active, if you're into biking, like cycling.
Were you an active kid?
Yes, I was an active kid. I was a very active kid.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I got to realize that, probably in my active days, as a very sporty kid, I represented my school a lot in running competitions and the rest
okay.
of that. So I just thought to myself that, probably.
Which is expected because you were what? 12 years
Yeah,
old.
so during those days, I probably have, the tissue must have, because it's just a thin tissue on the hymen, So I read. So I just thought that, probably in one of my active days, this thing would have probably just have cracked and I was not even aware of it.
Okay, that was years later though.
Yeah, that was years later into my 20s. Yeah.
So let's go back to your teacher.
Yes.
So what happened?
So I kept on going to the house, and whenever him is free, he comes over to our house. Now, nobody questions this setting. Nobody asks him when he comes for the lesson or when he leaves for the lesson or why I have to go there. Nobody asks any questions. So sometimes his grandmother is in the house, sometimes his grandmother is not in the house. So it's very much the both of us most of the times. So on one of my visits, he was like, can you just stand up? And I stood up and it was like, open your legs. I'm like, why should I open my legs? Like, why should I stand and then open my legs? That was the very first time I spoke back at him. I've never spoke back at him before. So that was the very first time. And he was like, are you stupid? I said, stand up and open your legs. I'm like, no, I won't stand up and open my legs. Why should I do that? Then he started hitting me. As then I was already 14. So I didn't even know if I should fight back. So I just stood there, I was taking the beating. And then he was like, okay, go downstairs, because it was at a rooftop setting. The lesson was being held at a rooftop setting.
At his house?
Yes, at his house.
Okay.
And then he was like, go downstairs now. And I'm still standing there looking at him. I didn't know if to fight back or not. I was just there looking. And then he slapped me. He started pushing me towards the stairs, like move down. And I started moving, and he just pushed me to the house, like go into the room. And I got in there. He took advantage of me at that point. He tore into my clothes and then raped me at that point. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So after that encounter, it was like, oh, you're not even a virgin, and you lied to me that you were a virgin. And it was a traumatic episode, and I have to start defending myself that, oh, I was a virgin. And, he was like, no, shut up, you're not a virgin. I'm like, yes, I'm a virgin. It was so messy. It was really messy because at that point in my life, I was still thinking that I was,
Because you still didn't understand.
Yes, I still don't understand what has happened to me in the previous years. I didn't have no knowledge. There was no awareness. There's a lot of awareness now. In as much
Even
as
if there was awareness, you might not have known about it.
Yes, I might not have known it because the internet is not like it is now. Yeah, the internet is not like it is now. So there's not a lot of publications or news outlets or blogs to help you pass through any phase or anything. So literally there was no help from anybody. You cannot discuss rape with anybody. You cannot just go and tell somebody, oh, you are raped, because everybody will blame you. What were you doing there? Why did you go there? What were you wearing? Nobody cares to know if you are just a child or if you are, yes, nobody cares to know if you're a child. They would ask you questions. What was you doing there? Why did you go there? Didn't you know he would do it? How am I supposed to know that a grown man is going to take advantage of me? How am I supposed to know that? So he was arguing with me, and I was like, no, I'm not a virgin, and I was crying. It's not even funny. It took me years of therapy to talk about this and, still smile about it. And,
I'm sorry.
It's not even funny because he was insisting I was not, and I was insisting with tears. This is somebody that just took advantage of me.
You had to defend yourself.
Yeah, so I felt like, I felt like I have to live up to some expectations.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I have to live up to somebody because this is somebody that's seen me as a virgin. So I have to tell him that, yes, I was, yes. So instead of me fighting back that, oh, you just took advantage of me, I was fighting back that,
defending yourself.
I'm a virgin. No, you cannot say that I'm not a virgin. I'm a virgin. And he got angry and he kept on beating me.
After he raped you?
Yes, after he raped me. He got angry and he was like, oh, I'm telling you that that is a man that is older than you. Do you know how old I am? I have had much experience. I'm telling you something and you're arguing with me. So he was hitting me there. So I was still crying. I was like, yes, it's true. I'm a virgin. You can't lie. I didn't lie to you. Like, it was messy. It was really messy. I was not even trying to, fight back to explain the fact that, oh, you just took advantage of me. I was fighting back to explain that I was a virgin. And thinking about it years later, I just felt really, really
at this point,
helpless and abused.
Did you talk to anyone? Did you talk to your mom or your aunts or your uncle?
When I eventually left there, because he forced me to take a shower, like a clean-up shower, and then he sat me down. He told me, oh, do you know what I just did? And I'm like, no, I don't know what you just did. And he was like, oh, I just got you pregnant. There are a lot of girls like you.
After you took a shower?
Yes, after I took a shower. A lot of girls like you that have done the same thing too.
He said that?
Yes. And then he told me that he needs to populate. That his children needs to be all over the world. There's a way he said it that I cannot say it in the exact words that he said it because this is quite a long time ago. But I understood that what he was meaning to say was that, oh, he
wants to have children, yes, literally everywhere.
Everywhere, from different parts of the world, like from different parts of Nigeria. So he has a Yoruba child, an Igbo child, and just like that.
Okay.
Yeah, just like that. So years later, I got to realize that what he was actually meaning to say is that he had a breeding kink. That's what is called a breeding kink. The breeding kink makes you
want to have children.
You want to have children literally everywhere. You just want your seeds scattered all over the place. So that was his idea of life, of what he wanted to do. So he said, oh, there are other people that he has done same thing to. So that I'm already pregnant as it is.
Make this make sense. You just raped a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And you're literally able to tell her, this is what you did.
Yes.
I just impregnated you.
Yeah, he told me to my face that, oh, you are pregnant, actually pregnant now. I just got you pregnant.
Let's go on a 1-minute break. We'll be back. Stay with us. Welcome back, guys. So let's continue our conversation. So Uzoma, we actually stopped at the point where you got raped by your teacher, and also he ended up beating you up just because he was trying to make a point of you being a virgin and lying to him or something. So can we continue from there?
Yeah, so moving on, I couldn't, defend myself. I couldn't get him to believe me, because there was little to no awareness on, virginity and all that it entails. So he asked me to, after I've done cleaned up, and he then convinced me that, oh, you're already pregnant. I already got you pregnant. I didn't make sense of what he was saying because, like I said, I was just 14. I didn't know what pregnancy means or what it entails. So I left the house after I had, freshened up. I left the house.
His house, you mean?
Yeah, his house.
Okay.
And then I got home. I didn't tell anybody because I wasn't living with my parents. I was living with my aunt and her husband. I don't know how to start explaining all that had happened to her. And the coming weeks and coming days, he was no longer coming to the house for lesson. Though if he sees me on the street, he always ask me to, come to lesson, make sure you're in lesson. I don't go. Because I've been hurt. I knew that I was hurt. I knew that what he did was...
And at that point, did your aunt or your uncle knew you were no longer going for the lesson?
Nobody knew. Nobody took notice.
Okay.
Because it was not being paid. So nobody realized that I was even going for lesson. Nobody noticed that I stopped going to lesson because my both guardians are very busy people. My aunt is a teacher, but after teaching, she goes for extra lessons in homes. So by the time she's always coming back, it's usually 8 p.m. sometimes, 7:30 p.m. sometimes. Her husband comes back later on towards 9 or 10. So nobody took notice. They were not aware that I stopped going to lesson. They were not aware that he stopped coming to the house. No, he went undetected for months. Nobody knew. Nobody. They just assumed that because I had a strict routine, so they assumed that I kept to the strict routine. So for months, nobody knew what was going on. Nobody. Okay. Yeah. So towards the coming months, I realized that I was always feeling busy in class. I've never fainted in my life, but towards that period, I would always faint in class. And then they will rush me to the sick bay, and all of a sudden, I recover fully, and I'm like, oh, I'm okay. So, and then I lost appetite. I couldn't eat anything. I was throwing up, but I was throwing up blood. I was coughing up blood.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I was still in my period, and I never for once thought I was pregnant. Because I didn't even know the symptoms of pregnancy or whatever pregnancy comes with, So I never for once thought, oh, you're probably pregnant. I never thought about it. So I just knew that I was coughing out blood. But at the same time, I couldn't even tell my auntie that I was coughing out blood. Because if I said that I was coughing out blood, she'll start panicking.
And take you to the hospital.
Yeah, and take me to the hospital because she's the only one that cares about me. She's the only one that cares about my uncle don't care. So I was scared of going to the hospital, so I didn't tell her that, oh, look, I'm coughing out blood. So a neighbor, because it's like a public compound setting, in a public compound, people would always come into your business.
There'll be a nosy neighbor, obviously.
They would always come into your business, even if you don't want them coming into your business. So a neighbor saw me coughing out, vomiting blood, and in the evening when my auntie came back, she told my auntie that, oh, have you realized that this girl is pregnant?
Just like that.
Just like that. She didn't even say, oh, this girl was coughing out blood. She just said, oh, this girl is pregnant. And my was like, no, she can never be pregnant. What do you mean she's pregnant? She was like, oh, I saw her in the morning. She was vomiting blood. And my was like, and then? Now, Martha has never carried a pregnancy.
Oh, okay.
She has never experienced pregnancy. She doesn't know what pregnancy entails or symptoms of pregnancy. She has never carried a pregnancy. But she's an adult and she knows that there is no way vomiting blood is a symptom of pregnancy. So she defended me with, oh, how can she be pregnant and be vomiting blood? Like, how does that make sense? And the woman was like, hey, her body is too small. She's a small girl. She's pregnant. She does not know. So her body is reacting previously to the pregnancy because
so she gave detailed explanations to your aunt.
Yeah, she gave a very, very detailed explanation that even made sense to me myself. I was like, I was not adding two and two together, remembering everything the guy said, and I'm like, probably what this man is saying is the truth. Martha has never carried a pregnancy, so Martha might not even know what she's talking about. So this woman, she has carried numerous pregnancies. So she's probably aware. She knows what she's saying. She knows what she's saying. So I started being worried. My auntie was still defending me, like, no, don't mind her, it's a lie, you're not pregnant. All these people, they like gossiping. They want to destroy you. Don't worry, you're fine. She consoled me, but
Deep down, you knew what was going on.
Deep down, I knew that I was in the mess. I was a whole mess. I knew that I was in a hot pot of soup. And, in every area, there is this girl your parents will tell you, avoid this person, avoid this person. So I had that girl. She was my friend. And several times I've warned me, avoid her. She's wayward. She's, that don't meet this girl kind of person. Yes, she's that girl. So I went to her and I told her that, see what has been happening to me. That in fact, that there's a rumor going around that I'm pregnant, that I don't know if it's true. She was like, let me tell my boyfriend.
Okay, she had a boyfriend at that time.
Yeah, she had a boyfriend.
How old was she?
She was way older than me. She should
okay.
be 17 or 18 as at then. Yeah, she was way older than me. But now we are kind of close. So she told me she's going to go tell her boyfriend. Then her boyfriend will take me to where we'll go for a test. And if we go for a test, then I would know that there's no way I would just say I'm pregnant like that. But we'll have to go for a test first. I told her the whole story of what happened and everything. And she knew the guy. She was like, that bastard, that he did it, same thing to somebody that she knew. So her boyfriend then took the both of us and then we went for a test. And the boyfriend was like, okay, make sure you scan her to know the exact time she got pregnant and everything. So I was scanned and that was when I realized that I was 4 months gone. Like I was 4 months, 3 weeks precisely.
That was at the age of 14. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like... Okay. So when I upon realizing that, I'm already pregnant, I cried so much and I decided that at this point, I'm not going to go back to the house. Because there's no way I'm going back to that house as a pregnant girl. But they sent me to go and buy detergent, actually.
When you went for the test?
When I went for the test. It's not even funny. They asked us to go buy detergent. And from buy detergent, I ran to go and do that test with my friend. Because, it's very, very necessary that I do it. I need to know why I'm vomiting blood. So when I realized that I was really pregnant, I knew I was not going back to the house. Because by the time I was done with the testing and everything, it was already towards late night, like 9 p.m, thereabout. Okay. So I just knew there's no way they're sending me to go and buy detergent and I'm coming back by 9 p.m. and I'm not telling them, actually I went out because I did. So I decided within myself that I'm going to run away.
Just like that?
Just like that. Like I thought it out on a whim, like, just run. Where are you running to?
You don't know.
Nowhere. But I just have to run, like run for your life because my uncle will kill me. The first person that came to mind was my uncle. I didn't even think of his wife because when he could even hit his wife to get to me.
That bad?
Yes, he's that brutal. He could hit his wife to get to me. So I just knew to save my auntie and save my own life, I have to run. I don't know where I was running to, but I just have to leave the house. So I told my friend that, I'm running. She was like, where do you know you're running to? I don't know. Then our boyfriend was like, okay, I know a place we can actually go and stay. Then she was like, no, if it's coming from you, we are not taking, that she's going to take me to a place. Then all of us that night, the 3 of us, we went to her friends. This is her friend in school. They're already done with their work, but they're still going to school. So she was like, okay, she's going to take me to her friend's house and I'm going to be staying there till further notice. That everywhere needs to clear first before I come out of my hiding space. I just knew that nowhere is going to clear anything. From there, I'm going to run to some other place. I don't know how I intend doing that. I just know that I want to start running. So they took me to that friend's house and they left me there. Everybody went back home. And this kind of family that actually their parents are in the house. She's a teenager. She has her parents in the house, but nobody actually cares who is coming in, who is going out of the house. So I was very much comfortable in this girl's house. Like her parents didn't even bother to ask me, where are you? Or where are you coming from? Or who are you to our daughter? Nobody cares. So I was very comfortable in their house. I was in the house for 3 days with my pregnant, stupid self. So I was there and my friend after school should always come to the house. She'll see me. Sometimes she'll give me money or she'll give me food. And then she'll tell me that my uncle is looking for me, or him and the wife are looking for me. They already take police and they're searching everywhere. That she's scared they will even come and get her. The very next day they got to her. After she saw me in the evening, the very next day they got to her and they went to the school. So it was very embarrassing for her. They arrested my friend. Being in assembly line and police walks in and tell you, who is Choma? And that is how they picked her up from the assembly ground straight to the station. And she got there. They were trying to like beat her to see where I was. She was not willing to give up where I was. They arrested her boyfriend. They were not willing to give up where I was, but they already said, oh, I was pregnant. That I ran away because I was
Okay.
pregnant. Oh, okay, where is she? Nobody was willing to say. Then they had to
At this
arrest.
point, where was the man that impregnated you?
He was busy living his life,
Okay.
going to his factory job, going home to tend to his first family.
Okay, we'll get
Yeah.
to that. So just go.
So when they eventually arrested her mom, my friend's mom, they had to arrest her for the girl to speak. So when they eventually arrested her, and she told them that she's willing to take them to where I was, and that was how she brought them to where I was. And my uncle found me with the policewoman that was with him, and they were already beating me. Like, oh, you're pregnant and you ran away. You're a very foolish girl. You're stupid. Why would you run? Where were you running to? Oh, who was responsible? Who got you pregnant? And they started beating me from the friend's house to the station. Like, I was a total mess. And when I got there, my uncle was like, you pay for your foolishness. And he was like, lock her up. And I was locked in the cell with my...
For getting pregnant, for leaving
like,
the house.
I don't even know
or
the exact reason why I was locked up. Whether it's for running away or for being pregnant at 14. And I don't know why I was locked up. I had no idea why I was locked up.
So how many days did you use in the cell?
I stayed 1 week in the cell. And they were trying to feed me pap and akara every day. And I was not eating the pap and akara every day. But my friend's boyfriend was still in the cell, but he was on like the male side. But in the male side where he was, he could actually talk to me. In the female side where I was, so he was like always trying to talk to me until after 3 days they released them. So I was just the only one left from our whole debacle. I was the only one left, so I was in cell. And I always kept to myself a lot of times. I refused the akara and pap they were always serving me every morning.
So what did you eat for the whole 1 week?
A policeman like brought food and gave me once. I accepted the food. And that was all for the whole 1 week that I was there.
Guys, as I often say, sometimes the truth is actually stranger than fiction. Hearing her story, you would automatically assumed this never happened. But I would say, with everything I've heard today, she might be the one we are bringing up, maybe on the next episode, so you can actually listen to the old details of what happened, how it went down with herself and her uncle. No one is here to judge anyone, but I just feel elders need to do better. If you feel taking care of a family's child is a burden to you, you actually don't need to take the child or the children from their parents. However, let's just wait until the next episode. And just so we know, this podcast is not just about recanting experiences like I mentioned the other time. This is just for us to, create a sense of belonging for people that has gone through the similar experience or they are still going through it for some reasons. We are saying you have a community here. You can contact any of the page you're seeing online, but let's just go right now. We'll be back on the next episode. Thank you.